I said it in the Mindset Blast today, and I'll say it again now. We have to get our head out of the future, and we need to get our head into the present. Now, of course, we got to keep our head in the future in terms of planning for our goals, having a long-term vision, and having a concrete plan. Okay, so of course we have to be thinking about the future. But I'd say about 70 to 80% of the time that we're thinking, that we're acting, we should really be in the present moment. And that's no exaggeration. I don't think it's too much to ask to say 70 to 80% of our time should be spent mentally in the moment. And that might sound like a low number, but think about it. You know, a lot of people might think, oh, be in the moment 100% of the time. We're probably not even in the moment 10% of the time if you think about it. So really aim for 70 to 80% of your time in the moment. And that means not focusing as much on outcomes, on wins and losses, on what's going to be the result of this action, what's going to happen in the future. If I do this, what's going to happen? If I talk to this person, if I confront this person, what's going to be the outcome? Yes, of course, we need the virtue of prudence. We do need to think about these things. We need to think ahead. We can't just speak off the top of our head, off the cuff, all the time, right? Certain situations, it's more appropriate than others. But a lot of time, we spend trapped in the jail of our mind thinking, what if? If I say this, what's the other person going to think? If I take this action, will this happen? Will that happen? We think too much about the future. And again, that really comes and bites us, especially in sports. Well, I wouldn't say especially in sports. Among many areas, it's probably worse in life that you just take time away thinking about the future. But it is devastating to our athletic performance. I think of the last two people that I really know of that, you know, real big upsets against Serena Williams. The 15-year-old girl just recently, what did she say? She wasn't thinking about who she was playing against. She wasn't thinking about it being Wimbledon. She was just thinking about scoring the next point, staying in the moment. Put the ball back on the other side of the net. Same exact thing with the Italian girl who beat Serena Williams a few years ago when she was going for the Grand Slam. I think it was the U.S. Open. And they said, what gave you the confidence to think you were going to beat Serena Williams? And she just shakes her head and goes, no, I did not think I was going to win. And they said, well, what were you thinking out there? And she said, I was just trying to put the ball on the other side of the net. Just return the ball. Just put the ball back on the other side of the net. She stayed in the moment. And then I think back to the 2011 World Series. We mentioned this in our ebook, The Predator Mindset, building the total athlete in sport, or building the Predator Mindset in sports, school, and life. And we talk about Lance Berkman's at bat. The team was down by 1 run. It was a 9th inning, 2 outs against them. He had 2 strikes. And I mean, this would have been it. They would have lost the World Series. It was it was game, whatever it was, I think 5, right? Well, what happened? Lance Berkman got a hit, and then the team winds up winning the game and winds up winning the next game. So that was the next 2 games, whatever it was. But the point being, it was down to the last out, and it was in the World Series, and down to the last strike, and he came through in the clutch. And we actually built a good relationship with Lance Berkman since then. We worked with his team in Houston, Texas, Second Baptist. Him and Andy Pettit are the coaches there. But I really admired it. Really, that all stemmed from the lesson that we talk about here. He was focused on the present moment. His head wasn't in the future. They interviewed him after the game, what were you thinking with all that pressure? He said, I was just thinking about having a good at-bat. Just put the bat on the ball. I knew I was most likely to get out, right? In baseball, you're a Hall of Famer if you're 3 out of 10, right? You'd be a 300 hitter. But he wasn't thinking about that. He was thinking about staying in the present moment, have a good at-bat, and just put the bat on the ball. When I spoke with him later, with working with his team, I asked him, what else was going on in his mind, and he said that really that game, he knew that it might come down to him. He knew his at-bat might be critical going into the day, and he said he just prayed that morning. And this is a common theme you see among a lot of top athletes. They're praying. They thank God. That's not by coincidence. When you see over and over and over these top athletes have strong faith, it would be unscientific to think that it's just by chance. Maybe there's something going on there. And we're not talking about using God for our own personal vainglory, but we're talking about really having a deep faith, keeping perspective that it's just a game. Really, it's just a game. And really, any situation, it's just a job. It's just it's just any situation. You're asking the person out on a date, what's the worst that can happen? They say no. It's just a rejection, right? It's just getting criticized, blamed, or complained. It's okay, right? We know our identity. We know who we are. Back to Lance Berkman. He said he just said a prayer. Lord, keep me calm in this moment. Just keep me calm if I get to that moment. That's all he wanted to do. He just wanted to be calm, stay in the present moment, put the bat on the ball. So these top athletes are not necessarily thinking positive. They are positive thinkers, don't get me wrong there, but it's not so much the positive thinking or the confidence as much as it is focusing on the right critical elements, and that's things in their control. That's action focus, not outcome focus. One of the biggest problems we see, elementary school athletes, middle school, high school, right through college, and even the Olympic team, is we focus too much on the outcome. We focus too much on winning. And that's why usually when we're going up against an opponent who's a lot better than us, we compete without pressure. That's usually, we ask our athletes, when was your best competition? What were your best matches? What were your best games? What were your best competitions? They usually say when they were going up against someone really good. And they might have lost, but it was because they competed as if they had nothing to lose. They weren't thinking as much about the outcome because they just kind of accepted, well, I'll probably wind up losing, right? And not that I'm saying you don't want to go in with that attitude. You want to know you're capable of winning. And these athletes, they do think they're capable of winning, but they're not focused as much on the outcome. They're focused on just go after him, do the best I can. And that's exactly the attitude that brings about the best results. Action focus, not outcome focus. Get your head out of the future, get your head out of the past, and get your head into the present. 70% of your thoughts should be in the present moment. In the moment, right now. Remember, the past is history, the future is a mystery. Only the present is a gift.
And that's a wrap for today's podcast. I'm Gene Zanetti from Wrestling Mindset. Make sure you check out our website, wrestlingmindset.com. Get our ebook. Make sure you get that ebook. Great information, represents some of the best information that we have. Lessons that we've learned from some of the top wrestlers in the world, lessons that we've learned from our own experience, and the best that research can provide. Get the ebook, wrestlingmindset.com. Also, as an individual, make sure you personally sign up for the one-on-one free mindset consultation. The one-on-one free mindset consultation. Make sure you fill out the form and do that as soon as possible. The best results always come from one-on-one individual attention, whether it's strength training, whether it's technique, or whether it's mindset. One-on-one individual attention is always the best. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you join us again for our next podcast. Mindset makes the difference. Have a great day.